Hey guys, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. I'm Kat Jovi, and we are going to talk about some superhero stuff today. So superheroes wouldn't be nearly as exciting if we didn't have supervillains. But sometimes superheroes slip and become villains themselves. So today we're going to look at 10 superheroes who became villains. At number 10, we have Bucky Barnes. This one is one that I think we're all familiar with if you've been watching the Marvel movies and, really into that, like myself, who's seen all of them. Anyways, Bucky starts off as a supportive best friend to Captain America. Then he dies, and it's a huge shock when we find out later that he's actually alive. But when the Captain and Bucky meet again, he is now the Winter Soldier. Hydra, of course, is behind this, and they wipe his memory. They give him this epic metal arm that's super strong and super cool, and then they keep him in suspended animation in between his evil missions so that he can't figure anything out. Of course, we know how that ends if we've watched the movies. Check them out if you haven't. Number 9 is Cyclops. You may also know him as Scott Summers, also known as Dreamy James Marsden. So cute. He was part of X-Men, he went to the school, he joined the team, he fought for good, but then after the death of the beloved Jean Grey, he just was never really the same, and it gets kind of more so soap opera-y, I'd say, for a bit. Like, he remarries, but then he hears that Jean might still be alive, so he just bails on his family, like child and all, he's just out. And then he begins having this psychic affair with Emma Frost also on the side, so he's kind of a dick, in my opinion. But after a lot of other strikes that are much more important than cheating and stuff in this world, he gets kicked out of X-Men. Then he's possessed by Phoenix Force, he kills Xavier, and he starts remaking the world into this totalitarian state. Like, whoa, that escalated quickly. Really not where I saw this sort of boy next door looking guy going. So his character gets really dark. I guess they had to kind of amp it up because he was just so like shreddies and cornflakes and all that. At number 8, we have Daredevil. So this blind vigilante from New York has always struggled with toting the line between good and evil, trying not to kill people because it's not great, that sort of thing. In one of the stories, he takes over the Hand Ninja clan and starts training them, but in the process, he gets possessed by the demonic entity known as the Beast of the Hand and becomes more and more extreme. He gets so evil, he even kills his longtime adversary, Bullseye. Eventually, other heroes start to realize that he's possessed, and then they get him back to the usual Daredevil. This is definitely a common theme, good guys getting possessed. Number 7 is Iron Man. I know, I was shocked too, but if you think about it, he is super dependent on technology and his suit and all that, so this bad guy named Immortus realizes this and he discovers a weakness in the neural link between Stark and his Iron Man suit. So Immortus then begins manipulating Tony's psyche, having the Avengers do his evil biddings. At first it's just little things, but then it gets really dark. Tony eventually murders like 3 allies of the Avengers and likely would have kept on doing it, but his teammates realize that something's up and are able to snap him out. Thank goodness for friends. At number 6, we have Angel, who later becomes Archangel. So he's one of the original 5 X-Men who eventually joins X-Force. During the mutant massacre, an evil mutant named Harpoon cripples his wings by impaling each wing crucifix style. Whoa, wild. Crucifixion was happening to the wings and it was very upsetting. Later, they get infected, they have to be amputated, and everyone thinks he's dead, but it turns out he was transported by this super powerful villain named Apocalypse elsewhere. As you can imagine, he takes losing his wings, his only power, really badly. He's in a dark place when Apocalypse offers to give him new wings if he becomes Death, one of his 4 horsemen, and this dark place makes him want to agree. But then he gets these metallic wings and they have these razor sharp feathers. Love this. And then he just has this need for violence. So he becomes even more formidable to the X-Men because he used to be one of them. So he knows all their tactics, he knows their weaknesses. So as you can imagine, epic fights ensue. Number 5 is the Hulk. I mean, he's always had trouble with rage, so it's sort of a no-brainer that at some point he gets super evil. It's kind of his thing. He turns into a sadistic dictator in not only 1, but 2 alternate futures. I'll tell you about one of them. The Hulk figures out a way to fully take over Bruce Banner's mind. He becomes more and more evil, eventually killing other superheroes, and then for some reason takes over the state of California. He becomes the ruler there, takes his cousin, the She-Hulk, as his bride. It gets weird, it gets messed up. Dark times, dark times. Green Lantern comes in at number 4. I know, boo his terrible movie. It was awful, but can we respect Ryan Reynolds, tip our hats a bit for calling that out in Deadpool 2 and wishing that he never made it? I love that so much. What a wonderful man. Things take a twist in his life with the destruction of Coast City and everybody in it. So he's just gutted and in grief, and then he snaps. He goes really crazy, does a bunch of things, then goes to Oa and drains all the energy from the central battery and becomes a villain, Parallax. Then he goes on a rampage, trying to basically change the universe into his own image. Needless to say, a lot of DC heroes have to get involved and step in to try to put him down. At number 3, we have Venom. I mean, this guy really flip-flops a lot. Like, it's almost like he was bad, then he was good, then he was bad. So it's not a huge surprise he's on our list. He's gone up against Spider-Man for many years. He taunts him, he threatens his loved ones, he's just super evil and awful. But once he has offspring, once he becomes a daddy, it starts to appear that he just has a little bit more of a conscience. So he sort of is the opposite almost of this. So when Carnage starts to appear, like we saw in the movie, he really starts to align himself more with the good guys, but then ends up bonded with this like low-level thug, namely Price, and then that just makes him all crazy again. So he flip-flops a lot of times and sort of is an interesting anti-hero, I think. Number 2 on our list is Superman. Oh man, you just knew this was gonna happen. I mean, he's so powerful. In the Injustice universe, we got to see what would happen if Superman was just pushed a little too far. The Joker is insane, so he comes up with this huge plan. He gasses Superman, so he thinks that he's fighting Doomsday, but it turns out it's actually Lois Lane, who's pregnant with his baby at the time. Then Joker ties a nuclear bomb to Metropolis to Lois Lane's heart. Whoa, like dark. How do you even come up with this? So Lois Lane dies, Superman City is gone, his soul is crushed, and it pushes him too far. Like, I think that's totally fair, and his old rules are just gone, so he puts his fist through Joker's chest. Yeah, Joker's chest. As you can imagine, Batman's pretty horrified, so he kind of starts distancing himself because he's like, whoa, you're super dark, man. Obviously not in those exact words. But then Superman starts really taking over the League, he turns into the regime, which then starts using violence throughout the world to enforce what he thinks is right. So of course, again, they have to try to take him out. And then finally at number 1, we have Jean Grey, or the Phoenix. I mean, she was definitely the one that first jumped into my mind. I don't know about you guys. We've seen in the movies, for sure, and just sort of scratched the surface, I think, about how far she goes. Full disclosure though, I did not see the most recent movie. It had such bad reviews that I just couldn't bring myself to do it, but I'm waiting for an airplane ride to maybe give it a go. After a mission in space, she gets exposed to a lot of radiation and almost dies. The Phoenix Force feels her psychic cry and takes her form. Now that she has all this power, Jean has a really hard time dealing with this increased power, and is also at the same time manipulated by a mutant called Mastermind. Long story short, she destroys a star, she kills a whole civilization, and just gets downright evil. So that's why she's my number 1. And there you have it. Heroes who became villains. It's a wild world out there. Let me know your favorites. Let me know your favorite moments of when good guys go bad. Let me know your favorite from my list. Comment them down below. We would definitely love to hear them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell if you want to get notifications and never miss a video. Thanks for dropping by.